Juneteenth, a single word that carries over 150 years of history, struggle, liberation, and celebration. Though often overlooked in traditional history books, Juneteenth is one of the most powerful and enduring American holidays, marking the true end of slavery in the United States. But what exactly happened on Juneteenth? Why is it celebrated in June when the Emancipation Proclamation was issued in January? And how did it go from a regional celebration in Texas to a nationally recognized holiday? Today, we take you on a journey through the origins, evolution, and modern significance of Juneteenth, while uncovering the rich traditions, lesser-known facts, and cultural impact surrounding this historic day. What is Juneteenth? Juneteenth is short for June 19th. It commemorates the day in 1865 when Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, to inform enslaved African Americans that the Civil War had ended and that they were free, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation had officially outlawed slavery in the Confederate States. The news was delivered by Union Major General Gordon Granger, who read General Order No. 3 to the people of Texas, declaring freedom for the enslaved population. It was a monumental moment. The last group of enslaved people in the Confederacy finally learned they were free. This day, June 19th, became a symbol of delayed liberation and a reason for celebration. Why the delay? President Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1863, declaring that all slaves in Confederate-held territories were to be freed. However, due to the limited presence of Union troops in Texas, enforcement of the order was slow and largely ignored. Texas, being geographically isolated and a stronghold for Confederate loyalists, remained a haven for slavery long after the proclamation. Some slave owners deliberately withheld news of emancipation to maintain their labor force through the harvest season. It wasn't until Union troops physically arrived in Galveston, armed and authoritative, that the law could be meaningfully enforced. First, Juneteenth celebrations. The first Juneteenth celebration took place in Texas in 1866, just 1 year after emancipation finally reached the state. Freedmen and women organized food festivals, prayer gatherings, and music performances. They wore their finest clothes to symbolize their new freedom and to reject the rags they were once forced to wear. Over time, Juneteenth celebrations grew to include rodeos, baseball games, cookouts, and educational events. It became a cornerstone of African American culture in Texas and later spread to other states through migration and word of mouth. The struggle for recognition. Despite its deep historical roots, Juneteenth was not widely recognized outside of Black communities for much of the 20th century. Jim Crow laws, segregation, and racial discrimination made it difficult for many African Americans to publicly commemorate the day. Some cities even banned or discouraged the celebrations. However, the civil rights movement of the 1960s renewed interest in Juneteenth, linking it to the ongoing fight for racial justice. In the 1970s and 80s, more cities began recognizing Juneteenth, and public celebrations gained momentum. In 1980, Texas became the first state to officially declare Juneteenth a state holiday. Over the following decades, other states followed suit. National holiday status. For many years, activists lobbied for federal recognition of Juneteenth. Their efforts were finally rewarded in June 2021 when President Joe Biden signed a bill making Juneteenth a federal holiday. The bill passed Congress with overwhelming bipartisan support, making Juneteenth the first new federal holiday since Martin Luther King Jr. Day was established in 1983. This recognition marked a major milestone in acknowledging the full history of slavery and emancipation in America. Symbols and traditions. Juneteenth celebrations are rich in symbolism. The color red is commonly seen in decorations and food, such as red velvet cake, strawberry soda, and barbecue. Red is said to represent resilience, bloodshed, and African heritage. The Juneteenth flag, first designed in 1997, features a bursting star to symbolize new freedom and hope for Black Americans. The arc across the flag represents a new horizon, and the colors red, white, and blue connect the legacy of Black Americans to the American flag, emphasizing that freedom is a right for all. Parades, church services, storytelling, musical performances, and educational programs are all typical features of Juneteenth events today. Many communities also focus on economic empowerment, hosting job fairs and workshops to support Black-owned businesses. Juneteenth around the country. Although its origins are in Texas, Juneteenth is now celebrated in cities and towns across the United States. Major celebrations occur in cities like Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. Some events attract tens of thousands of participants and feature guest speakers, live entertainment, and historical reenactments. In recent years, more corporations and institutions have begun observing Juneteenth with paid time off, company events, and educational initiatives. Schools, museums, and community centers now incorporate Juneteenth into their programming to ensure future generations understand its importance. International observances. Believe it or not, Juneteenth is also recognized in places outside the U.S. In countries with significant African American expat populations, like Ghana, the UK, and South Korea, Juneteenth celebrations have started to take hold. These international observances often include cultural exchange and discussions around racial justice and global human rights. Fun and lesser-known facts. Now let's explore some interesting facts about Juneteenth that you may not know. Juneteenth has been called America's second Independence Day. Some of the earliest Juneteenth celebrations were held on church grounds or open fields because freed people weren't allowed in public parks. Many early Juneteenth organizers purchased land just to host celebrations. Emancipation Park in Houston is one example. Juneteenth was featured in popular TV shows like Atlanta and Blackish, helping boost awareness among younger audiences. The Smithsonian and the National Archives host annual Juneteenth events and exhibitions. In the early 1900s, economic pressure and racist backlash caused a decline in Juneteenth events. But celebrations persisted quietly in homes and churches. The term Juneteenth is a blend of June and 19th, a form of portmanteau. Juneteenth was celebrated for over 150 years before becoming a federal holiday. Continuing the legacy. Juneteenth is not just about looking back, it's about pushing forward. It honors the ancestors who endured slavery, celebrates the resilience of their descendants, and serves as a reminder that freedom is an ongoing struggle. As awareness of Juneteenth grows, so does its role as a platform for reflection, education, and activism. It encourages Americans to confront the complexities of their history and to build a more inclusive future. So when you see parades, hear drums, smell barbecue, or watch children learning the story of June 19, 1865, know that Juneteenth is not just a celebration. It's a commemoration of freedom delayed but never denied. Now that you've learned the powerful history and rich traditions of Juneteenth, what other holidays or historic moments would you like us to explore next? Let us know in the comments.